Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Legends about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast that dug my keys into the side of his pretty little souped-up four-wheel drive. Carved my name into his leather seats. Anyways, there we go. Just warm us up a little bit this morning, Ellie.
Yeah, baby.
From the West Coast, I'm Leigh Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. As always, want to let you know that our Patreon has tons of bonus episodes on it. So if you're like, I'm already caught up with Lez Hang Out, I want some more episodes, you can go to bit.ly/LesPatreon to listen to all 14 of our bonus Patreon episodes.
We also want to remind you that we are taking our next trip in May, first week of May. We are going to be going to Costa Rica. We had such a blast with everybody who came to Croatia with us, and we cannot wait for our retreat week in Costa Rica. It's going to be so much fun. And if you want to join, you can get your tickets at bit.ly/Let's Do Costa Rica.
In the greater Les universe, Leigh, I know you haven't seen the show yet, but I have been absolutely binge watching Gen V. I am already caught up. A few reasons why you should watch the show. Number one, our biggest one, Maddie Phillips is in it.
I mean, so.
And you know we
That's
are.
all it takes.
That's it. We're obsessed with Maddie from Teenage Bounty Hunters. I don't want to spoil anything, but like her role in this is so iconic. Like she is a gigantic, like she's one of the stars of the show. It's a huge, huge thing for her career. So I'm super happy for her, like as a person who has watched her career and talked to her on a chaotic podcast episode. So if you are watching Gen V and you're like, I love Maddie Phillips, go back to our Teenage Bounty Hunters episode. But also there's some queer shit. So we have a bi-gender superhero, one of the like main leads, basically turns back from the boy and girl version of themselves, like back and forth.
Amazing.
And there's all kinds of storylines around that of like their own insecurities about that, coming out stories to their parents, stuff like that. So there's a really cool queer superhero vibe. And it's also just a really good show. I love The Boys. Like, so it's a spinoff of The Boys. It gets you hooked. That's all I'll say.
Okay. What's it on?
It is on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to check it out. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how many things I can add on my list right now.
Oh, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Also, in the Greater Lez universe, which I'm being a little loose with that
Generous,
definition, but I'm going to go with it because some of you may have seen this new Walmart Mean Girls commercial. It is wild. They like reunited a whole bunch of the cast of Mean Girls to make a Walmart ad.
Why not?
Which I will say it's like making me feel exceptionally old in some ways, but also I'm still here for it because it was, just like what a great commercial. Like a better done commercial than 90% of commercials out there.
Than some feature-length films, really.
Than some feature-length films, sure. But what I did think was great, and I think some of you may have seen, because I think we retweeted it from our Twitter, is someone who commented on the video, and he said I do think it's interesting. Both Regina George and Janice Ian were missing. I'd like to imagine they're married to each other, painstakingly running their B&B and shearing their alpacas as we speak. And I just feel like that is the correct take on the Walmart ad. So
where are the lesbians?
Yeah, where are they?
And on
we need the sequel ad, Walmart. That's all I'm saying.
check out our Mean Girls Should Have Been Gay with Mary Holland, because you want to listen to it again. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Leigh.
Thanks, Ellie and Leigh. We are so excited to bring you episode 7 of season 7, Cheat Codes. That
Dun,
feels
dun,
actually
dun.
feels very timely on like episode 7, season 7, 7, 7,
Yeah,
77777. The code is 77777.
And today we're going to be talking a little bit about cheating, about particularly celebrities in the public eye. I don't know if any of you have been hearing any of this stuff about.
Are there
any lesbian cheating
news?
stories out there? I don't know.
Never heard
I
of
don't
them.
know. But you know,
We'll be so vague.
yeah. The Ashlyn. I won't be vague. I'll be direct. The whole Ashlyn Harris and Ali Krieger split. Finding out that Ashlyn Harris maybe was cheating with Sophia Bush. That whole thing, like Sophia Bush leaving her husband. This whole chaotic gay web has sort of inspired us.
Did Ellie and I just want to do an episode where we get to chat about all this shit to each other? Yes.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Well, it's also there was other stuff that brought it up too, right? Like we just recorded the episode with LP, and they had made a comment at some point during the episode about, wondering like, oh, are they polyamorous or are they just a cheater? Like, that sort of distinction. And I feel like it got some ideas flowing, because I think you and I, Ellie, like this, we've talked about cheating on the podcast a lot before. I mean, it comes up a lot as a thing that you and I both have very strong feelings about.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit, maybe for anyone who's missed all of those times we've
Oh
talked
my God.
about it. Tell me a little bit about your feelings about cheating.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. My feelings have somewhat evolved in different ways.
Okay.
Number one, I'm excited to talk about ethical non-monogamy because I truly believe certain human beings are not programmed to be monogamous.
Mhm.
However, if you are programmed that way, you still can't cheat.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I just want to throw that out there. So I feel like it's
we
more
want to
about-
be clear, we are not discussing polyamory. Is that what we're saying? Yes.
Yeah. Well, because
Yeah.
I just feel like as I get older and am in a longer term relationship, I just feel like my thoughts have evolved. Number one, for me, I was cheated on in the past, and emotional cheating to me is like put a knife in my heart, like go fuck yourself. And I just think it's like the worst kind of cheating because it's so like premeditated. You have to like continuously be doing this thing prior to breaking up with someone. It feels like the most like cowardly way to end a relationship of like, if you have any problems in your relationship, like talk to your partner. Don't like start dating someone else basically while you're with your partner. And once that person's like, oh yeah, I want to be with you, you're like, okay, I can jump ship from the other person. I hate that. And number two, I just think like when you're in a relationship, there's certain things that you should be aware of to like not put yourself in situations that that potentially you could cheat in. Like even when you're like, oh, it was an accident. It's like, okay, but you put yourself in that situation for it to happen.
Tell me something. When you say emotional cheating, what do you consider, like, what do you characterize as emotional cheating?
Okay, yes. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm not saying like, oh, you have like a new friend who like you maybe have a crush on, which to be fair is still emotional cheating to me. But to me, the emotional cheating comes when like you literally
You're like, it's not this, but also it's that.
this. No, but like I'm just saying, like you meet new people and you're like, oh, they're a cool person and exciting. It's the step after that. It's the like, you've been talking to this person. Maybe you're texting them a lot more than you should. But then I think it's the actual like saying to them, I have feelings for you.
Okay.
Like, I feel like there's a communication to another person that's like, I have a crush on you. I have feelings for you. I'm in a relationship. And like, I can't do this. If you even say those words to another person while you're in a relationship, you are emotionally cheating.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
so, because you and I text a lot.
yeah. Okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not being friends with someone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can be friends with whoever the frick you want. And like, even that's why I'm saying my thoughts have evolved on this, because I'm like, you could even be attracted to some of your friends because a lot of my friends are hot. That's all I'm saying. But you need to draw a line with those friendships. Like,
I like that you have a very angry bird who is like
screaming
voicing their opinions about cheating right now.
but you know what I'm saying? If you have a friend that you are attracted to, don't try to go out of your way to spend time with them one-on-one constantly.
Sure.
Right? Don't talk about your attraction towards them to them.
Yeah.
Like there's
Not like encouraging it, you're saying.
Yeah, like don't feed
Like,
it.
yeah.
Like you're feeding it. Right?
Right.
Like I think it's a normal human emotion to be attracted to other people. I think when you feed that emotion and feeling is when you are emotionally cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I wanted to draw a distinction because I think saying emotional cheating, right? Like, obviously, I think it's pretty clear when you're like physically cheating. Like,
Yes.
if you are fucking another person, that's
Yes.
pretty obvious, right? But I feel like emotional, when you say it, it like creates this more gray area of like what people consider emotional cheating.
And I
because
also
I
think you
there's-
know if you're doing it, you know.
Yes and no. And I also think that I think it becomes especially grayer in queer relationships than it does in heterosexual relationships. And that's a little bit of something else that I kind of want to dive into today, because I do think like we as a queer community do not have clear-cut, consistent ideas both on cheating and on what constitutes cheating when it comes to like the queer world versus the straight world versus like all sorts of stuff. And that's why I think actually the whole Ashlyn Ali situation is messy, right? And like obviously if we're talking about it, we are talking about it from a slightly abstract
Yeah, because okay, so do we even know what happened? Has anything been confirmed?
Well, no, yes and no, right? I mean, like, no, nothing has been confirmed. I think I'm sure people could correct me because, again, like, I don't go here. This is not super my scene, but my understanding of it from the discourse and the social media and the TikToks and the whatever is that, I mean, Ashlyn and Ali, I think everyone remembers they were kind of like the original Kristen Press and Tobin Heath, right? Of like, are they dating? They're dating. We think they're dating. They must be dating. I think they're together, right? Like the sort of whispered like lesbians in the know kind of stuff. And then they obviously were together. They got married. I believe
yeah, they have two kids,
children.
I think.
They have two kids. And so here's my understanding of the situation. My understanding of the situation is Ashlyn Harris went to Cannes Film Festival by herself, so left Ali at home with the two children. Went to the film festival famously with Sophia Bush, who has been friends with the couple for a long time, like kind of been in that whole network of the soccer gays and everything. Comes back, says like, it's over. Basically, like, we're getting divorced, and then not that long later is publicly dating Sophia Bush, who also just recently divorced her husband suddenly, you know? So the whole thing is messy from the outside at best. What I also know is that I have seen a number of posts about, like, Ali posted on Instagram a photo of her prepping for, because they're in playoffs right now, so she posted a photo that she captioned like, heading into playoffs in my Beyoncé Lemonade era, which is like never a good way to reference the end of a relationship, because I think Lemonade, you know, famously Beyonce is like, hey, I was cheated on, here's my like angry, vengeful
let me destroy everything.
Response to like burn it down to the ground. So it's like that sort of lends itself to some things. The comments that have been left by like Ali Krieger's brother especially has been like going off in the comments about stuff. A lot of other like soccer, like women's soccer people, like teammates and stuff, have been commenting like pretty thinly veiled comments about how this is all going down and whose side they are on. I think one of the best ones I saw is someone, I think like the U.S. women's soccer account like posted something about Ashlyn Harris, like maybe it might have been like her birthday or her something, but they posted something and they referenced her as like a 2-time Olympic champion. And someone in the comments just goes, ah, yes, a 2-timer indeed. And like, I mean, it is...
Rough. Okay, but here's
messy.
the thing.
It's messy. Do I know any details? No. Do we know anything about what happened? No. We're using this as a case study from a purely like parasocial standpoint, right?
But here's the thing about this case study is like, when I talk about emotional cheating, that's the thing. At least for my personal experience, it's like, I'm in a relationship with someone. I can tell their relationship with this other person is not friendly, right? I know it's not friendly. They know it's not friendly. And then very recently after we break up, they start dating that person.
Yeah. That feels familiar to you, Ellie?
It feels very familiar to me.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, I mean, I don't know what kind of conversations went on between the two of them. Obviously, I didn't see those, right? But to me, I can imagine that those conversations were not platonic. Because, like, right? So it's sort of insane to be like, oh, I was having completely platonic conversations and feelings with a person. And then we broke up and surprise, I decided, oh, maybe I actually might be into this person. That's just not realistic. So I feel like if you're in it.
Here's what I think is interesting though. I feel like, so I'm pretty sure that, I mean, I know Sophia Bush filed for divorce first. I think all of this was happening before her divorce as well. I feel like I have seen lesbians up in arms to defend Ali Krieger, which, like, I don't blame them at all. What I think is interesting is I have seen a lot of backlash around Ashlyn Harris. I've seen a ton of the, like, oh my God, like, look at her, like, she's been a fuckboy all along and all this stuff, you know. I have not seen the same level of judgment pointed in Sophia Bush's direction. I feel like the lesbian response mostly overall has been, Sophia Bush is gay, like, we knew it, hooray, we win. Yes. Right? It's been like celebratory on the Sophia Bush side, and it hasn't been on the Ashlyn side, right? And that intrigues me a little bit because Sophia
did the same thing.
Must have done the same thing to her husband,
yeah.
right?
But because
I feel like
he's a man, we don't care, which is
care.
actually pretty fucked up, to be honest.
It's a little fucked up, and that's why I kind of wanted to dig into it a little bit, because it's like, I feel like we see cheating differently when it is part of a coming out journey than we do when it is lesbians, like, in a committed relationship publicly cheating on each other.
That is funny to me. Not funny, haha, but, like, funny, interesting.
Yeah.
Because of our media, right? Like, think about, like, Imagine Me and You is the best movie of all fucking time. I love it.
And you and I talk all the time about how problematic it is that we love it. I'll
excuse the cheating because now this woman is living her truth, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I think there should be more backlash against Sophia Bush. But I think there's, like, another part of it too, which is, actually, you know what? I take that back. I actually think there should be less backlash against Ashlyn Harris and Sophia Bush combined.
Okay, interesting. Hit me. I'm ready.
I just feel like we had this conversation with LP, like, pretty much last week. Like, LP was in a public relationship. Everyone was commenting on it, right? Just because these are two lesbians that, like, you've seen their relationship progress on social media, you don't know them. You literally don't know them. You don't know Ashlyn. You don't know Ali. And you don't know Sophia Bush. And you don't know her husband. But I feel like we don't know her husband even more because he's not in our lesbian circle. So you're like, oh, I can excuse Sophia Bush because I don't feel any kinship towards her husband. But people feel like they're friends with Ali Krieger.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Team Ali, like, I'm fighting for her. You don't know her. And you don't know any of them. So I'm more just saying, like, as we are discussing their relationship, that people should just mind their own business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, where it's like, I get it. If we're talking about it from, like, a standpoint of, like, in general in society, is cheating harmful? Sure. But we don't know Ashlyn Harris. Do you know what I mean?
But look at her mullet, Ellie. Like, don't you feel like that tells you everything?
She looks like a fuckboy. Let's be real. She looks like she probably is a douchebag, but we don't know her. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like we're just like, it's all parasocial, right? I fucking love Sophia Bush because I've loved her since she was in One Tree Hill. So, like, yeah, she's gay and, like, whatever. But she also did a pretty fucked up thing to her husband too.
Well, and to Ashlyn and Allie's
and to Ali
relationship.
I mean, she was friends with Ali as well.
It's a fucked up situation, right? But here's the thing that I think is interesting is, like, so, like, Kelsey and I have a friend. Like, we have someone that we've known for a long time who is dealing with a situation surrounding cheating as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is married, has been married to her husband for a long time. They have 2 children. A whole cheating scandal came out. It is also messy. And again, you're in this situation where I'm like, I don't know their relationship really. Like,
Yeah.
They don't live near us, you know? It's like we keep in touch, but it's not like we see them a lot, know anything about how their relationship or marriage was. Does that stop us from being like 2,000% on her side and being like, your husband is trash?
I mean,
No,
yes,
not
of
at all.
course. Of course.
Not at all does it stop us from having those opinions and voicing them readily, especially because they are choosing currently to stay together, which like we have lots of opinions about,
Yes.
right?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, do you think there's ever a time where somebody could stay with a cheater?
I do.
And what is that scenario that you feel like would work out successfully?
I think the most common scenario that leads to it is when there are children involved. There certainly were children involved in the other situation that I know about that like we are very close to that I think has actually resolved successfully.
Yeah.
I think the main reason that it resolved successfully is I think there was a real commitment to like repair and
Yes.
reconcile the situation on both parts, but especially on his part, who had
Yeah.
done the cheating. And I think it might depend on the reasons for it. Like the why were you cheating, you know? Like cuz I think there are different reasons for it. And again, like even coming from the standpoint of like I am like you, I am a person who has very very strong like principles and convictions around cheating. Like it is a really hard thing for me to look past.
Yeah.
But I also understand that it's like, I do think there are different things that lead to it. And some of them I think are more forgivable than others. Right.
Yes.
So like in that situation specifically, like, again, I am not involved. It's not like I really know intimate details, but like, I do know that they were two people who work a lot, who had really, really like demanding, like really draining jobs, like emotionally and physically, who were also juggling 3 children and who I don't think got to see each other very much, you know? And I think that like that is going to lead to a certain type of strain. And there's not like, I don't think that's obviously the right answer to not having needs met probably. Like, but I feel like it's a different motivation, I think, for like what pushes someone to do that. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just being like, I'm lazy and bored with you, and
Yeah. I mean, and I think
this feels exciting and sexy.
it's also the severity of it, like to me, is like the frequency. Like if you that's why I think I don't know, like I think that's why emotional cheating just like gets to me almost more than physical cheating. But I think what I'm thinking more about is like the prolonged cheating, either emotional or physical.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because I
it's
can
interesting.
imagine
I
if
feel
a
like-
physical relationship is prolonged, there'd be some emotions involved. Right?
Yeah.
But
I
if
feel
there's like
there
a
are lot of
one-time
people-
physical, if there's a one-time like mistake and you come clean and you work through it, like and whatever, like I could more easily get past that than I have been actively like doing this thing behind your back like every day. Do you know what I mean?
I do, but I also feel like I think there are people who disagree. Like I feel like there are people who would take the physical, like you actually did this with somebody else, as being like the end all be all, you know, like that would be the line too far for them.
I just find that so interesting because I'm like, I think it's just because how I'm wired. Like I think there's like different kinds of people in this world, right? Like how I would act when I was single is different than how you would act when you were single. Do you know what I mean? So like for me,
Oh, for sure.
For me, like I can separate physical and emotional. So to me, I'm like, if somebody physically cheated, like to me, I'm like I just feel like I would understand it differently.
Yeah.
Whereas like to be emotionally involved with someone takes like more effort to me, if that makes sense. But I understand that it's like, okay, well, that's the line you drew. But to me, I'm like, but if you're talking to your friend about how you want to leave your partner every single day, right? For them.
Right.
And one random night you're drunk at a hotel. Like, have you seen Haunting of Hill House? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Like that one night where she gets drunk and hooks up with that man at the hotel, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, that is like, she'll never see that man again.
Wait,
like,
in Hill House?
Yeah, in Hill House. The Shirley.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I gotcha. I was on the wrong characters. It's okay.
Yeah. Like, she'll never see that man again. Like, yes, it impacts her relationship in a certain way, but not in an everyday kind of way.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it. Do you know what I mean?
Versus her husband kissing Kate Siegel.
Yeah. Like
Right,
kissing your
okay.
fucking sister. You know, different. There's just like, there's, and I find it, I don't know, as much as I agree with you that like, I'm just like, just don't fucking do it. I do feel like there's so much just like black and white discourse online that pisses me off. Because I'm like, even though that's the case, there's so much flexibility with it. And like, the older you get, the more people in your life you know. Like you're saying, like you literally have a bunch of friends who their partners have cheated on them and they're still with them.
Yeah.
And maybe you disagree that they should be with them. But like, I don't know. I sometimes I'm like, oh my God, all these old people who have been together forever, did they just cheat on each other constantly? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're like, you romanticized it and then you're like, wait, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's, you know what's interesting?
It's very
is
it's very common.
Here's the thing that I think is funny is like I mean, you know me, Ellie. I'm like an incredibly monogamous person myself. Like you're right. Like you and I would be very different single people.
Yes.
Because I have not been single much of my adult life. Any of my adult life, honestly. So I think one of the things that's interesting to me is like I'm a very monogamous person. I'm not a very jealous person at all. And so it's like it's always been interesting to me like my feelings about cheating because they are very strong, but they're not really based in like a
jealousy,
possessive kind of view of relationships. Like I don't actually have that. But I think what really gets to me, and I think it's why like I also agree that like emotional cheating would be a lot harder for me. I think I just have a really hard time with lying. Like
that's the thing. It's the lying
really,
piece.
Really hate because I'm noticing this coming up a lot in my life right now as my children, like, 5 years old, you start to discover lying as like a manipulation type of tactic. Not just like, oh, I answered a question wrong because I, don't know or I don't remember what happened 3 hours ago because I have a toddler brain. Like it's more of the like I am deliberately telling you the wrong thing and I know it's wrong and I'm saying it anyways and so it's been real rough for me because I'm like that just sets me off. And so I'm like, oh, I hate lying. Like I hate being lied to, and there is something about that aspect of like the thing is to me realistically, and I think it's why like I've always said, I'm like, I feel like cheating is like the stupidest, laziest way to hurt someone that you're supposed to care about because it's so easy not to. It's so easy to just say what's going on, And I feel like maybe that is an unfair stance for me to have because the truth is realistically, like, I mean, even now, I'm like, Kelsey and I have been together forever. Like if Kelsey came to me tomorrow and said like, hey, I'm actually feeling super attracted to like this person and like I want to talk to you about it. I'd be like, cool, let's talk about it. And like why and where's it coming from? And like is that something that is like important to you? And like let's talk about how we could explore that in a way that feels comfortable to both of us and like what would that mean? What would that look like? Like what are the options here? I don't think I would ever feel like, oh my God, I can't believe you have ever been attracted to another person but me. It's like, well, that's insane. Like that's an insane way to feel.
It's just not realistic.
It's
right?
not realistic, right? Like even me who is like an extremely monogamous person, like I don't think I have the expectation that like humans get married and then like go the next 50 years of your life like never being attracted to another person. I'm like, well, that's silly. I know it's silly, but what would bother me is if you didn't tell me, I'm like, I don't care if you talk to me about it. Let's talk about it. I would absolutely I would have a really hard time forgiving the like keeping it secret, hiding about it, lying about it, like doing it behind my back, like that.
Exactly.
No.
Well, that's why I'm saying like if for some reason if like Jana cheated on me last night and told me this morning, I would be upset.
Yeah.
But I would be like, all right, you told me.
But if she cheated on you last night and then again next week and then again the week after
and then like, told me
and then
like,
was like, oh, I'm just going to like stay with a friend, like, oh, I'm just
and then
doing
it's
it,
like,
you know.
And then it's like a year later that I find out, and I'm like, I've been living a year with you with this, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, that's man, I'll tell you, the friend that we cannot forgive right now, like it was a year-long situation.
Exactly. And to me, that's like, if you're prolonging it, like you clearly don't care about your partner. I'm sorry, but like if you can really sit with that and lie next to your partner and like be okay with it, you just don't care about your partner. Yeah. Like you just don't. Like, so I just cannot with that kind of a betrayal.
But
I think
question, say you were like reading a book, watching a movie, and it was a girl with a boyfriend who was like,
who did this, who was sneaking around with a girl for a year and then was like, oh, I think I'm gay, let me break up with my husband. And I'm like, no.
We just
I know, honestly, we're
hypocrites?
fucked up. Honestly, we're fucked up. No, I think we need to change that conversation, actually, even though I'm like, I'm fighting against it because I want to smile.
I know.
But I do feel like we should be challenged.
You're like, I love it and I want the book rec now, but at the same time, I love it,
I'll read that book. But that's the thing. It's a book, it's a movie. These are real human beings.
What if you heard about a real human being, Ellie? Don't lie.
Yeah, I'm very excited that Sophia Bush is on our fucking team. I wish she was not on it in this way. But if that's the way she had to come to it, see, exactly. Why am I excusing her? But
because we're just fucking gay, ridiculous people.
I know. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Well, and it is, because the other thing that I will say is like, I also think we would have a different response to, especially if they were like a public couple. I think we have a different response to Ashlyn cheating with Sophia than if Ashlyn was cheating with like a man. Right.
Oh, well, yeah, we'd lose it.
Yes, like we all watched The Kids Are All Right?
Oh,
and like
they hate that movie.
and lost our fucking minds over it, and we're all like, what a gross fucking like horrible movie. Like,
yes.
who would do that? How? That's unnecessary. Like, why would you make this film? Right? Like, all of us felt very strongly because we're like, this is unacceptable.
Yes.
And obviously not like, I think if someone was bisexual, that I would feel differently. I think it's specifically when they have like lesbians.
Identified as a lesbian, and then they're like,
and because then it gets into this messy area as well, where like we are very boxy with our labels, right? Like, well, that's a hard thing.
And we're sensitive to, like, of course, it could be that somebody identified as a lesbian, learned something new about themselves. It's like, I am now bisexual. That is okay.
And that I would have no problem with.
But
the cheating, lying about it, I would have a problem with.
And that's the thing. I guess it's like, okay, I guess here's my other thing about cheating that I find, I don't know how to describe it, but like interesting in today's world where ethical non-monogamy is much more prevalent, is that I do feel like human beings as a whole in conversations are like you said, like you would be open to Kelsey having that conversation with you. I think there's like certain couples where like you don't like, you can't have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you can't have the conversation with your partner. And if you can't have that conversation with your partner, but you still want to do this, you know what I mean? It's like, that's when people start cheating.
Yeah.
When it's like, if you could just we could all be open and honest with our partners in general, that foundation is what would lessen the cheating.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's the idea that like society has put on us that like, no, if you're attracted to someone else, that means you don't even like your partner anymore. Or like there's this other thing. This is why I always get sort of heated about this, because I feel like there's just this thing in society that's like, when you're in a long-term relationship, it's like, oh, I fell out of love with them. And so I fell in love with someone else. And so that's why I cheated. And so people are like, oh, well, it's love, so we can forgive it. And it's like, not really, because that whole excuse is not accurate. Of course, you don't feel the same way about someone you've been with for 5 years that you feel about a random person you just met.
The new butterflies.
Right? Like, that whole thing really frustrates me just as a person who, like, I don't know, just like takes it serious. Like, I understand that, like, to be in a long-term relationship means that certain things, you might feel certain things less. Yeah. But that you talk to your partner about that and you work through it. You don't just say like, oh, well, the world works that you fall in love and it's uncontrollable. Like, yes, being in love feels uncontrollable, but like, it's not uncontrollable to put yourself in a situation to fall head over heels in love with someone. And honestly, even if you do, that doesn't mean you should cheat or leave your partner, to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think something that you were just saying too, because it's like, when you were talking about like having that conversation, right? Like, can you have these types of conversations with your partners? Like, are we moving into a slightly more open space to like have actual honest discussions about this stuff and like where a lot of people fall? But I think the other thing that gets tricky about it is like, I think it is hard to know when you have that conversation, whether it is coming from a space that is really just like, hey, you know, I am having these feelings for this person, or like, I'm having these feelings like maybe I need something additional, you know, like to what we have. But I do also, I like know situations where that conversation was the starting point, and the end point was really like, it's not that you want something on top of this, in addition to
you
this,
want something
like,
instead of
you
this.
want something else than this, you know? And so it's like, I feel like that sort of makes it tricky as well, because I think you're right. I mean, again, it's like, we also know plenty of polyamorous people, and like plenty of polyamorous people who are in like extremely successful relationships. And like, I have nothing but love and support in my heart for that. Like, I think that's great, you know, like, but it's hard when I think we also see a lot of people taking advantage.
Well, that is, I mean, is that what you want to, is that, do you want to talk about that from like the LP thing? Is that what you mean?
Oh, I mean,
by taking advantage or what?
A little, yeah. Like, I think sort of like what those comments were getting at, where I think LP was saying about themselves that it's like, sometimes it's really hard to know, you know, like even from your own perspective, like that's a hard thing to know. And I think that's true, but it's like, again, I don't know that I would consider any of that cheating for me. Like,
if you're being open and honest about it, is what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the cheating aspect is the secret.
Yeah.
Right? That's like, it is the act, but it is also the secret. To me, it's like mostly secret. It's like 70% secret, 30% act, in my mind. It's like 30% lie. It's 70% the lying.
What if someone had those feelings, didn't, like we were saying before, like didn't grow them at all, didn't act on them, didn't like make a thing out of it, but also didn't bring them up? Where do you put that?
I don't know, because now it's getting like extremely nuanced, right? I think, honestly, I don't think you need to say anything in that case.
There's no point.
There's no point to it, to me. Yeah. It's like, unless you have that kind of relationship with your partner. Because to me, it's like, if your partner, if you saying that to your partner would hurt them, I wouldn't say it. Or if it's like, especially because it's like, I don't know, you're not acting on it. It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think the feelings, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the feelings are the thing that you need to communicate with your partner. I think it's like, if you were in the space where you're like, I think I want to maybe act on this and I need to talk to my partner about it. Yeah. I don't know. That's just me. But also that's because I'll just say, I find myself attracted to a lot of people. Just saying. But like, weird. But I'm just saying, like, and I just feel like
you fucking love people, Ellie.
I love people. Like, I really do. Like, I love new people. But that's my point, is like, I feel like you just need to draw proper boundaries.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed, just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/Lez Hang Out today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lez Hang Out.
Let's hang out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Baking Hershey's Kisses Peanut Butter Blossoms is the perfect way to celebrate the holiday season with friends and family. With their classic, rich, creamy milk chocolate taste, there's no better way to heartwarm the holidays than by baking with Kisses chocolates. Find Hershey's Kisses holiday chocolates at your favorite retailer.
We have a hard time with boundaries. Not like the you and I specifically, just like people in general. I feel like boundaries are like a big thing these days, you know? It's hard because I think it's hard to exist at a time where I feel like we are learning to push on a lot of boundaries that have existed for a long time for no reason.
With emotional friendships or less.
I just mean in general. I just mean the place where we are at in sort of the public discourse when it comes to orientation and gender expression and gender identity and just a lot of things in general where I feel like there have been these sort of walls in place for a long time. And now we're kind of learning like, hey, actually, who the fuck cares? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, none of that really matters. Like, we've just sort of put up these barriers for no reason that have always been there in terms of like what is allowed and what is expected and what is approved of. And so I feel like there's a lot of ways in which we are taking down a lot of barriers. But then you're like, but are there barriers
that we should have kept up?
Boundaries that are real and necessary? And how do you distinguish the two when you're sort of in this like free for all, like we're pushing boundaries, right? You know?
True. Like we are redefining what it means to be friends because like we can make out with our friends and like
friends can fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like friends can just sleep together. It's like, okay, yeah, they can if you're single.
Right.
That's the thing. But I understand what you're saying of like, okay, so how do you draw these boundaries? But I have different boundaries with my friends. Certain friends of mine, when I was single, I had very different boundaries with them than I do now. Because when I was single,
who cares?
Who cares?
Right.
And like, I know that about that friendship that like, I need to be a little more like specific about the kinds of the ways I interact with these people.
Yeah.
It's one person
like
in particular I'm thinking, but you know. With certain people who like I was physical with when I was single. And obviously can't be as physical now that I'm in a monogamous relationship and like shouldn't be. Even in ways that seem harmless. Like and that's my personal preference.
But they might open a door that
should
remain
I
closed.
just think for me, I'm like, just try to keep the doors closed.
Yeah.
That's my own personal way to be like, don't open the doors and then you won't have to worry about like the final step of the cheating is a result of many doors opening. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, so I opened this one small door and like, oh, that was fun and cute. And then you open more doors and it's like, okay, but just be careful with the doors you open is my philosophy, if that makes sense.
No, I think it does. And I think because it is funny, like what you're saying, you know, it's like again, it's like the stuff that cracks me up when it's like you and I do text a lot, like 90% of the time if I'm just like on my phone, like, you know, in some lengthy text conversation, like I think Kelsey's response will always just be like, how's Ellie? You know, like I think it's like a well-known thing. And it's like, and at the same time, like you and I have gone on trips together, like shared a bed in hotel rooms and like, you know, all this stuff that it's like, but the idea that there would ever be like a jealousy or a boundary on the part of our respective partners like just feels ridiculous because it's like I think we have extremely clear boundaries and like how our relationship with each other is.
Yes.
And there's nothing to avoid there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I love you, Ellie. I love you.
But yes, there's nothing to avoid. But
in a very well-defined way.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think everyone, you can be self-aware. Like you know the people you're attracted to. And even if those people are your friends, like
Ellie doesn't think I'm hot, is what she's saying.
I'm sorry, Leigh. Really you are hot. You are hot.
It's okay. You're so tall for me.
Exactly. It's okay. And you're a little too masked for me. Like that's fine.
It's fine.
But you are a very attractive person, Leigh.
Aw, thanks.
But yeah, like I just think you know who you're attracted to. You know who you need to be careful around. And like if you're dancing with fire, like you're choosing to dance with the fire.
Something else, you know who's attracted to you.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
Just putting that out there. Like it's not just a one-way thing, right? Like cuz I think that's the thing is it's like I feel like just to keep using you and I as an example. Like I feel like it is very clear both ways.
Yes.
How this is, right? And I feel like that's the thing is it's like you can know when you have like you can know for yourself when you have feelings that are maybe heading in a direction they shouldn't and not encourage them. But I think you can also tell if someone's like into you and you're like egging that on, right?
Yes. And I like, that's why I'm saying like, I get it being in a relationship for 5 years. Like, because I'm a performer, like there are moments where I'm like, I like that person in the audience finds me hot, right? Like I can tell like they're asking for they're going to ask for my number and I'm going to tell them I have a girlfriend, but I still get a little excitement from that. Like it feels good. Right? Like, it's not like we're not dead. but it's
You're like, I just have a girlfriend. I'm not buried under the ground.
Exactly. So like I understand the human desire to feel attractive, and when someone makes you feel attractive, you're like, oh. But I just think you have to like, and even I don't know, I think like when you have those moments too, that's also a moment for you to be like, let me reinvest in my relationship. If you're having a moment like that, I'm like, there'll be times when I'll talk to Jana and I'll just be like, I feel like we're not having enough. Like I'm out and I feel like I'm getting all this attention from other people that are not you. Yeah. I will say that to her. And I'll be like, I need us to have that kind of an interaction, right? I need you to.
You're like, I need you to get in that crowd and ask for my number.
But like literally, I'll be like, I need you to come to my gig, like, and watch me perform and come up. Like, we don't like role play or anything, but but more so like at my break, I'd like you to be there, not these randos asking for my number. Do you know what I mean? But like those are the moments that I feel like you need to reinvest in your relationship. Not
you and I lead such different lives, Ellie.
I know. I mean, that's the thing too. I'm like, Leigh, like it's not just, I'm like, maybe I'll cut this. But I'm like, I feel like it's a bit easier. Like I do have a lot of temptation in my life. So I feel like I also am like, I get it. And also because I have all that temptation in my life, I'm like, you don't have to cheat. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you can live in a musician's lifestyle is very like, you're just constantly like different. Like I understand my LPs like, it like on the road and like blah, blah, blah. But my point
is reinvest in your relationship.
Yeah. My point is reinvest in your relationship. Like if you're having any of these kind of feelings, or if like you feel like some of these doors are opening, the answer is not like, well, I guess I'm unhappy in my relationship, I must jump ship.
Yeah.
It's like, talk to your partner about the needs that you feel like you're having that other people might be filling, that you would prefer your partner fill. Like,
oh, I like that.
That's the answer. So that's my TED Talk.
Unless your partner's a man, in which case, please come out and we will.
Oh my God. God damn it, Sophia.
If you're bisexual, please reinvest in your relationship with your man. But
yes,
if you're like coming out as a lesbian, we're here for you. We're here for you, and we support all your decisions. No,
just
it's
also
bad.
just
it's bad.
Jesus Christ,
it's messy.
Why do we do this to ourselves in life? Like relationships are like the most chaotic and messy and just like, okay, I had to look up the statistic because I was like, how common is cheating?
Oh God, don't tell me.
This
is
says,
it bad?
Like sort of. I mean, it's not like 50%, but research from the past 2 decades shows that between 20 to 25% of married men cheat. Oof. And between 10 to 15% of married women cheat. So it's not like, that's a relatively high statistic.
Yeah. 20 to 25, that's wild.
Mm-hmm. And I think like obviously our society has like completely vilified men cheating for so long. But like also because I just really feel like men cheat in the most fucked up douchebag ways.
They really do.
Like,
they really do.
They really do, because they have a hard time communicating with their partner in general, right? They have an entitlement complex where they think they're entitled to their partner's body. They think they're entitled to a certain amount of sex. And if their partner doesn't give that to them, they're like, well, you didn't sleep with me. So,
yeah.
And I think clearly women still cheat, as we are discussing this whole thing. But the reasons that women and men cheat have been statistically different. They're like more emotional needs than sexual needs. But it hits me the wrong way.
I think the other thing that's hard for me about that statistic is that, again, as people who are in the stage of life where you are in a lot of like watching what the heterosexual model of life is once you have children, and like what that dynamic is for a lot of like relationships, is that I think there's sort of this like women who get shoved into the box of mom and then can't somehow also meet all the needs of the box of like perfect wife that men create for them. Mm-hmm. And so then they're like, okay, well, so, like go find that somewhere else. But it's like, it's gross. And I think a lot of it like is encouraged by the fact that we have wildly unrealistic expectations of women once they become mothers.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean? So I feel like for me, it's like that stat just like, it feels so exceedingly gross to me right now.
I do feel like it is like men cheat because they're like, well, you're not sexy enough for me anymore.
Right.
And it's like, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, it's gross.
So fucked up. Or like, you're not having sex with me enough. And it's like, how about you could discuss, like, how about you guys talk about that instead of just being like, you're not having sex with me enough. Bye. This other girl will have sex with me.
I'm curious just because I want to ask, because you had in our little like talking point notes of like, stuff we wanted to talk about, you wrote down serial monogamy as a form of cheating, and I want to explore that with you.
I know, sorry, Leigh. Well, I just feel like, okay, serial monogamy by its definition has to be cheating, right? Because serial monogamy to me is like you go from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship, right?
Okay.
And so if you're in a relationship with someone else and you immediately go to another relationship, there has to be some overlap.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like you just like, I have a particular friend who
okay, I love this. I love our veiled discussions.
I know, I'm sorry, but like who has literally never been single, and right now they are single and they're having such a hard time with it. I know it's hard, but like in the past, I've literally seen them like they physically can't break up with their partner until they find another person to jump ship with. That's like the kind of serial monogamy I'm talking about, right? It's like I would have conversations with them constantly where they're not happy in their relationship. Like I know they're not happy in their relationship for like 2 years, but they won't leave that relationship until they find another person to be in a relationship with. And that is very common, I feel.
Okay. But I'm curious because like, okay, so let's use me as the case study here, right?
Yes.
So we know that, I mean, there was sort of like a messy overlap period between when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend in college and started dating Kelsey, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to say there was like probably specifically like a messy month or so where my ex and I had sort of been like on a break a little bit. And then, and during that time where like I was starting to realize where I was like, oh, I am starting to have feelings for Kelsey, and trying to decide like, was that something that I could sort of like deal with and get over? Or was that something that I was like, this is becoming a problem for me to be in a relationship with another person while I am feeling this way about this new person? And so then, and we had a conversation at the end of that time where like my ex was like, hey, I think we could like try to work on stuff and get back together. And I was like, I think we need to break up. Like, I don't feel like I am in the right relationship. Like, I don't think I'm committing to this, and I don't think I'm in a place where like I'm going to be giving this what I should. Right.
Yeah.
And so then we broke up, and I did very quickly start dating Kelsey after that. Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like the difference for me and like why I've never considered any of that to have been cheating is like, A, nothing happened. Like nothing happened with Kelsey and I while I was in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Physically, I mean. Like,
yeah, did you feel like any boundaries were crossed while you were in another relationship?
I think the first day where I started to be like, oh, I want to, right? Like I am not, but there are starting to be opportunities that I'm like, I'm not feeling the right way about this.
Yes.
And realizing like, and I am trying to put myself back, give those opportunities the chance to exist, right?
Yes.
And like literally the first day where that happened, where I was like, oh no, like I wanted to kiss her and I probably could have, and like I didn't, but that's a problem. Like that was the day where we had that discussion where I was like, I don't think we should stay together.
But this was at the end of your break.
Yes.
You were already on a break.
We were already on a break, and it had been sort of like a month of like the pendulum shifting the other way, right? But I feel like for what we're talking about, to me, I mean, and granted, I mean, I was like 18 at the time, you know,
yeah.
It's like in the most emotionally mature way that I could handle this. I think that for me, I was like, well, this is where I'm at. Like, I wanted to have the communication as soon as I was like, nope, actually, this is like, I am towing that line, and that's a problem, you know? And so that's when I was like, I need to end this relationship. And it's not like the next day I was dating Kelsey. Like we started dating maybe a month or two later, you know?
Yeah.
would you consider that cheating? That's what let's put it that way. Let's throw the case study at you.
I know. Good question. I guess it just, to me, depends on how much you were towing the line before you were on the break.
Before we were on the break.
Because I think the break, you could do whatever you wanted.
The break was a messy time. It was a messy time.
Yeah. I mean, also, like you said, you were 18.
I was 18. So
that sounds like the most like difficult kind
you're
of.
You're doing the best you
can.
You're
doing the best you can
with the frontal lobe you've got.
I just don't like
and the relationship experience you've got at that point.
Yeah, like that was your first girlfriend, and then you had another. But then Kelsey was your second girlfriend, correct?
Yes.
Classic.
We lead different lives, Ellie.
No, but I do feel like it's slightly a different situation, and I think when you felt this is not right, you broke it off. I think the emotional cheating is you feel it's not right, you continue dating this person.
Yeah.
And
because
do you know what I mean? Like
what you were saying, is it's like sometimes, like you have that attraction to someone else and you're like, it's okay. Like I have a crush. I'll get over the crush. Like you move on with your life. And I feel like that was the time over that break was when that was happening. And then when it was clear, like, I'm not getting over this.
Yeah.
And I'm not really trying to anymore, Yeah. That was the point for me where I was like, nope, gotta cut it off. Like, I mean, it wasn't what I wanted to do to my ex either, like, because I wasn't the one who asked for the break. She had asked for the break, actually, like for totally unrelated reasons.
But yeah, and I think it really is, like I said, when you feel that something is wrong and you continue to do it.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is like, I don't know, like if we had not been on that break, like, would I have changed? Would I have like made different decisions sooner or late? Like, I don't know, the whole thing was sort of a mess anyways, but was I a cheater, Ellie? You tell me.
I don't think you were, Leigh. I think you're good. Even though you had
your approval.
You had a little bit of overlap there, but
I'll rewrite a Q&A to be just like, was Leigh a cheater? Yes or no?
No. I mean, I don't think so. I think, like I said, it's like, it's a consistency of it, right? And it's the length of time. It happens that people start to form connections with other people, and maybe that connection makes them realize that they're not in the right relationship, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's the length of time with which you let that go on that consists of the emotional cheating or not. Does that make sense? And to me, I think
in the very specific Leigh and Ellie cheating definition.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Today.
Well, also to be fair, everyone's definition of cheating is different because everyone's definition of what would break their trust is different, right?
Yeah.
You need to talk to your partner and be like, if you did this thing to me, you would be breaking my trust. That's like different people have different definitions of that. Some people are like, oh, I don't really care if you make out with anyone else, but like you need to know that ahead of time. Like, if you know your partner doesn't want you making out with someone and you do it, like, that's what the cheating is. If you know your partner doesn't want you talking to other people and, like, trying to leave the relationship, I'm pretty sure most people don't want their partner to do that.
End of the long road we've been on, I guess.
Yes.
So, as it always is, comes back to communication.
Communicate
with each other and in your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
What a concept.
All right, Leigh, here's our Q&A. You ready?
Q and gay.
Question number 1. Have you ever cheated on a partner? A, yes. B, no. Or C, not yet. Just kidding.
I think as we just decided, B, no. I have not.
No. Okay, good.
Okay, question 2, Ellie. What would you have a harder time forgiving? A, emotional cheating. B, physical cheating. Or C, online cheating.
What do you consider online cheating? So like you go on a dating app or something, or like you're...
Yes, or like I feel like some people, like I know there's people out there who have really strong feelings about like people watching porn and stuff like that. Like, so I think
oh God, I can't believe we didn't even get into that.
I know.
I have very strong feelings about that as well.
Okay, so I feel like to me it would be the like, yes, like sort of an abstract, like it's not about like a specific person necessarily, but it's sort of more like I have needs met by other things, like that kind of cheating that I think some people consider.
Okay. My strong feelings about that are that's just like a part of human sexuality, and I don't feel like that's cheating. Like,
but some people do.
I know that some people do. I know that some people do. I've heard about those people.
I've read stories.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I think that's a whole other thing, but it could go either way. For me, it's A, emotional cheating.
Fair enough.
Ding, ding, ding. All right. Question number 3, Leigh. Which would you think is worse? A, lesbian cheating with a woman. B, lesbian cheating with a man. C, straight woman cheating with a woman. D, straight man cheating with a woman.
Oh boy.
That's a lot.
I know. And it's like I don't know why I did this with putting us on the spot in a question going to me, but
cool.
I think for me, like personally, the one that always I think like just that knee jerk like the most is probably either A, like a lesbian cheating with another woman. No, fuck, it's all of them. I don't know. Fuck, I don't know.
You think it's worse when a lesbian cheats with another woman than with a man?
No, I don't. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm having such a hard time with this. They're all bad. I don't know. Maybe I'll say, fuck, I feel like there's no good answer here. I'm going to say a straight man cheating with a woman. There you go. I'll blame men.
Yeah, that's the one that's least likely to get you canceled by our listeners. So
always a safe bet. Sorry, men. It's always safest to blame you. Okay, question 4, Ellie. Would you stay with a partner who cheated? A, yes, or B, no?
All right, I feel like there's black and white. That's too black and white for me.
There's no nuance in this question. No gray zone. No gray area.
I feel like it depends, but honestly, A, yes. But there would have to be very specific
sure.
things that we would work on. But it's not a blanket no for me. Honestly, even with Carrie, like when I was like, we were talking about shit, I was like, we could be open, like we could talk about this shit, but no. I'm not against ethical non-monogamy. So, all right. Question number 5. How would you describe yourself? A, monogamous, B, polyamorous, C, single, or D, cheater?
You know, the 4 genders.
The 4 genders, yeah. Single.
I guess I would describe myself as A, monogamous.
All right, listeners, remember you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Lez Hang Out Pod.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you, and we love continuing to build this community, so we just like to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. This week, we have some Insta shout-outs that we wanted to comment on. We wanted to shout out Brittany N17 commented on a lot of people liked the Twilight episode.
As you should.
Glad it was a hit.
It was so fun.
So Brittany commented, I swear Alice and Rosalie were one of my gay awakenings. Accurate, fair take on that
and,
episode.
John Shavers also commented Alice and Bella hands down. So we know we got a lot of Bellas shippers out there. Thank you for saying that, John. I'd also like to give a shout out to our guest from the Twilight episode, K-Ming Chan. When I was looking on Spotify, separate from all of this, I was like, let me find an audiobook to listen to. Organ Meats was trending.
Amazing.
So she's killing it. Like it showed up on the top of my list of like things that were coming out. So I'm really happy for her.
I assume it's because everyone heard the episode and was like, better go run out and get Organ Meats right now. And if you haven't, what are you waiting for?
Yep. Go listen. As always, I want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Fiona W.,
and Sophia Phillips.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette. Thank you all so much for supporting us on Patreon. We could not continue to create this podcast without us. Your support is what helps pay our independent team. So we really appreciate all of you.
Remember, you can also find us on all social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
You can check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use for podcasts, make sure you subscribe so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop.
We also have videos going up on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch those.
Lez Hang Out is an independently produced show hosted by us with audio production by me. Our production assistant is Krista Murison and Twitter shenanigans by Leigh Holmes Foster.
If you want to help support our little team, the first thing you can do, leave us a rating and a review on whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. It helps new people find the show.
If you want to support us on Patreon and join our little Patreon family, get those bonus episodes, get those watch parties, downloads of our Lez Essential songs, all kinds of fun perks, you can do that at bit.ly/LezPatreon.
If you want to buy some Lez Hang Out merch, you can find all of our designs in our TeePublic shop. You can get them on all sorts of cool stuff like t-shirts, and tank tops and sweatshirts and tote bags. You can get everything at bit.ly/lezshop.
And remember, we have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings that you can find everywhere at $1beanprod.
You can also check out our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can listen to all the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can follow me at Ellie Bridgetell on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Leigh.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.